Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we come to you today with heavy hearts. I think a lot of people have heavy hearts today. Rest in peace to DMX. Condolences to his family. I know it's a hard day for a lot of people, man, because DMX's music helped a lot of people get through a lot of things. He was a spiritual guy, spiritual person that was battling demons and battled demons his entire life, ladies and gentlemen. His entire life, he battled demons. If you know anything about his history, you'll understand that. And if you do not know about his history, please take the time to go learn about his history and just the demons that he's been battling since 7 years old. 7 years old, ladies and gentlemen. So it's with heavy hearts that we bring today's show to you. If we don't have the usual energy, I think you understand why. Because, DMX means a lot to a lot of people. You may not have known him personally, but it doesn't mean that his music didn't touch you and make you feel something. So, rest in peace to DMX, one of the great artists of my generation. And, he's going to be missed. And we can only pray and hope. And I believe that his spirit and his message will continue to influence people worldwide. So rest in peace to DMX and condolences to his family members and friends and anybody who was ever close to DMX and to you, ladies and gentlemen, because I know you're feeling something right now. So, yeah, Josh, I'll give you a chance to, if you just want to say a word or two before we get into talking about this game.
First thing I want to say is, obviously rest in peace and condolences to the family of Earl Simmons, otherwise known as DMX. But today it's a celebration. It's a celebration of life. Celebration for, the influence that, he had on a lot of us. And our brother's not suffering no more. He's in a good place, with the Lord, you know what I'm saying? So, rest in peace to DMX. We're always going to love you. We're always going to celebrate your music. And, long live X.
Yeah. And, no lie, man. I shed a tear today. I was listening to his music and, actually, today wasn't the first day that I shed a tear. I can't even lie because, we kind of knew what was probably coming. And it's hard to take because, he was, he meant a lot to a lot of people. But, I'm pretty sure you all understand out there. Rest in peace, man. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the New York Knicks and the Memphis Grizzlies. They play tonight. Ladies and gentlemen. The Knicks are 2 games under 500. The Memphis Grizzlies, I think they're 2 or 3 games above 500. They're currently sitting at 8th spot in the Western Conference. And let me get the Memphis Grizzlies record correct. They're 3 games above 500. They're actually 26-23 right now. They've won their last 4 games. They're 7-3 in the last 10 games. They're coming in hot, playing good basketball, sitting in the 8th seed, and I'm sure they think and believe that they can close in on the 7th seed and then the 6th seed if they continue to play good basketball. The Dallas Mavericks are 2 games above them for the 7th seed. The Mavericks are 29-22, and the Portland Trailblazers are 3 games above them for that 6th seed, the coveted 6th seed. They're 30-21. So we got our hands cut out for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. As for the New York Knicks, as I said earlier, we're 2 games below 500, 25-27. We just lost to the Boston Celtics, who are a full game ahead of us in the standings because of that loss. They're 26-26. They're in the 7th seed. The Miami Heat, they're in the 6th seed at 27-25. And the Atlanta Hawks are in the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference at 27-25. And the Charlotte Hornets are in the 4th seed at 26-24. The New York Knicks are 2 games away from the 4th seed and 2 games away from the 10th seed. They're in a precarious situation right now. They need to get this win tonight, ladies and gentlemen. They need it. It's going to be a battle. Everybody everybody wants to be in that 6 seed or above. Because if you're in that 6 seed or above, you don't play in the play-in. You're just in the playoffs. If you want to get into the playoffs, you want to avoid those play-in games. Even though if you're the 7th and 8th seed, you got 2 chances to get in. But all it takes is 1 loss to get you out of there, ladies and gentlemen. None of these teams want to be in that situation. So it's a big game for the New York Knicks tonight. They start a 3-game homestand versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Josh, what are your first thoughts on this game tonight?
Well, obviously a must-win. Once again, the Knicks fighting for playoff positioning. It's crazy that the 4th seed and the 10th seed are separated by, 3 or 4 games. That's crazy to me. It's just so jumbled up there. And, everything is going to start to work itself out as the season, winds down. So definitely, every game is a must-win from this point on for the New York Knicks because, they can win 5 games in a row and be right back there in that 4th spot. and everyone's, concerns about this team will go away, or they can lose 5 in a row and be outside the top 10. So, really depends on how everything plays out. But to say this is a must-win, I think is an understatement. This is more than a must-win. I don't know how to say it.
I get it. I mean, it's critical because I think the Knicks are at a point right now where it's like they're at a crossroads and the season can stumble away from them. They can take the wrong road and go down somewhere and be someplace crazy, or they can take the right road and end up at their destination. They're at a crossroads right now, and they've got to figure out some things. They got a lot of things that they need to figure out. They want to make the playoffs. They got to figure out this rebounding issue. They got to figure out how to execute the 4th quarter. They got to figure out on the offensive side, how do they get away from these stupors that they go into, right? They go into these stupors and stretches where they don't score. And it's hard to score. Now, thankfully, they have a good defense, so they're able to force the other team to not shoot well or turn the ball over, but you got to score the basketball to win basketball games. And they fall into these stupors. They got to figure that out. I'm not sure that they can. Like I was saying yesterday, the Knicks, because, they have a lot of role players on this team, journeyman role players, they've got to play at maximum effort every single minute that they're on the floor. And I think it hinders them from being able to step up to another level in the 4th quarter because they're already playing at maximum effort throughout the game. So, I don't know where they get this extra oomph from or if they can get this extra oomph. We'll see what they're made of. And it could explain what I just said. It could explain why they're able to get a lead, 7, 8, 9, 10, 18-point lead, like they did against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Although they should have, there's no doubt about it, they got to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. But it could explain why they're able to get a lead, but they can't hold it. Because the other team can turn up and they have no other place. They can't turn the dial up anymore. What do you think about that, Josh?
I absolutely agree with you. But the key word is we know the Knicks can do it. We've seen them do it before. We've seen them do it in almost all the wins that they have this season. We've seen them be able to, score in bunches, not going these long stretches where they can't score the basketball. We've seen them put up, 120 points sometimes. It can definitely happen. The question is, when will it happen, and will it happen right now to try to propel the Knicks to move forward? Honestly, until the Knicks bring in a star player or a guy that can close, we're going to be asking this question. But right now, it's definitely possible. We just have to be able to do it right now. This is the most important time of the season to do it, to guarantee ourselves a playoff spot. But it can be done. We've seen it happen this entire season. And I don't think it's an issue of them being physically or mentally tired. We had the same conversation, the game, prior to them playing Detroit on a back-to-back, and they went out and beat Detroit by 40. So, I think we oftentimes we ask ourselves this question, but, the Knicks are able to prove us wrong time and time and again. So, we just got to see how it happens, how it plays out.
Okay, so explain to me, what do they do in the games where they score 120, 130? What is it that they do those games besides just making the shots, right? We know, if they make the shots.
They don't do anything different.
They're just making the shots. You don't think there's more
just
ball
making
movement,
the shots,
crisper ball movement? Maybe they're dedicating themselves to, going through and making sure that they complete their movements maybe a little bit crisper, sharper, or they're just hitting shots.
I just think it comes down to them hitting shots. And obviously when the ball doesn't go in, or when the ball does go in, the passes look crisper and things like that. But I think that's what it comes down to, the Knicks just not being able to capitalize and hit their shots. We've seen time and time again where Derrick Rose has had open shots in the lane where he's just been missing them. Or Elfrid Payton or whoever gets to the paint and for some reason, one reason or another, can't finish or can't knock that layup down. Or Julius Randle or RJ Barrett taking shots that they normally make and they just go out and miss. I think, in a situation like that, we can't force it. We just got to play our game and everything is going to be able to work itself out. Now, I do agree that, some games that, down the stretch, we do get cold. It's because we don't have a guy that can basically close the game out. And that's going to be a roster issue that they address later on. But for right now, the Knicks should continue to do exactly what they're doing because that's what's gotten them to this point. They shouldn't change anything up and go too crazy with it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to change anything up or try to do anything like that. You can't at this point. The only thing you can really do is try to set the screens better, right? Make those passes crisper. On the defensive side, make sure you're hitting those defensive rotations the right way. Make sure that you're all on the same page. There were times last game where I didn't think they were on the same page on the defensive side in that fourth quarter, right? So, those are some little things that you can do. Bottom line, the Knicks got guys that are sometimes going to be there, sometimes not going to be there. They're inconsistent. So some nights they're going to hit shots. Sometimes they're not going to hit shots. And I think, we just have to, we just got to deal with it. Looking at the injury reports for tonight's game, John Henson is out with a calf injury. Okay, whatever. This guy's getting paid $110,000, $111,000, right? A 10-day contract.
I want that job, Sam. Let me get that.
That's what I'm saying. It's a 10-day contract, and he's, for 2 of the games, 10-day contract. He's been here for about 3 days already. 3 days. Think about that. He's been here for 3 days, hasn't had to do anything because he's got a calf injury. Going to get $111,000. He's going to go home after those 10 days, sit back. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to spend that $110,000 or invest it or something. I don't know. Gonna buy a new Xbox that costs him $2,000. It won't matter because he's got $110,000. You know what I mean? Probably only get 50% of that. The way the taxes go in the NBA, he'll probably only get about 50% of that $110,000. Still, I'll still take $60,000, $55,000 for 10 days. Let's go, Knicks.
That's easy work right there. but Sam, no, I just want to highlight the fact that we're going through. I'm not going to say I'm blaming these issues on what the front office did not decide to do because I think no matter who they would have brought in, kind of would have been the same kind of thing. But as far as us, bringing in these players like John Henson and all these guys off the street, basically, the Knicks should have at least been a little bit more aggressive out in that market. I know people are like, it's best that we should have stayed put. They like the way the team chemistry is performing right now. But to me, I just think that it was a little bit of a missed opportunity for us. Just a little bit, because you see guys now getting signed that, are really good pickups for solid teams. You know what I'm saying? Like, I honestly felt like, in the trade market, there was some trades for us to make, but we didn't have to give up much to improve the team. So, I mean, that's all come and gone now. That's all come and gone now. But,
these last 20 games, we got who we got. We got to figure out how to do it with the players that we have on the team right now. As for the Memphis Grizzlies, they got a couple of guys that are out. Brandon Clark, he's questionable for tonight's game against the Knicks with a calf issue. Justice Winslow, he's out with a quadriceps issue. DeAnthony Melton, he's out. Jaren Jackson is out, and he won't be coming back until the end of April. All right, so, that's the injury report as of right now. Hopefully the Knicks, listen, we can't afford to have anybody get injured, especially not a big guy. Because right now we're struggling to grab rebounds, and if, we lose a big guy, we really going to be in trouble. Now, when we look at the lineups for tonight, projected lineups, you got Elfrid Payton is going to guard Ja Morant. I want to talk about that. Reggie Bullock and Grayson Allen, R.J. Barrett, Dylan Brooks, Julius Randle, and Kyle Anderson, and Nerlens Noel and Jonas Valanciunas. Let's start with Nerlens Noel and Jonas Valanciunas. Let's start there and look at that matchup a little bit, because I'm a little bit nervous about that. I'm nervous about that one. Nerlens Noel is not a big guy, not a strong guy, and I'm afraid that Valanciunas is going to get this guy in the box and go to work. I mean, we've seen LaMarcus Aldridge lower his shoulder just a little bit and roll Nerlens Noel over. Valanciunas is bigger and maybe even stronger. I'm a little bit nervous about that matchup. We'll see if Tom Thibodeau decides to double team Valanciunas and make them kick the ball back out. I think they're like a 35% three-point shooting team. Of course, if they're getting a lot of open three-point shots, that could be some trouble. We don't want that to happen. What do we do? What do you think? What do we do with Valanciunas and Nerlens Noel guarding him?
Well, Nerlens Noel is one of the best shot blockers in the NBA. So, as long as Nerlens Noel stays home, don't jump for too many fakes. I think Nerlens Noel could be able to deal with Valanciunas. I don't see Valanciunas really getting off that crazy today against us. I think, the Grizzlies obviously run their offense through Ja Morant, and we like to see what, is Ja Morant even playing?
I believe so.
Didn't he get hurt a couple games ago? I don't know.
I think he's playing.
But, but in any event, I think the offense is going to be ran through Ja Morant. And I think the Knicks can be able to contain Valanciunas. One of the things I know, if Mitchell Robinson's not playing with this team, but one of the struggles that we've seen opposing centers give to us is when they're able to step out and be able to knock that shot down. As long as we're able to contain that, get out there and contest and, get out there to open shooters, particularly, Valanciunas, I think we can be able to contain them. But it's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he averages 16 points per game, 12.4 rebounds per game. And he shoots 33% from three, he's shooting 56% from the field. And the reason why I say, listen, he weighs 265 pounds. How much do you think Nerlens Noel weighs? He's 6'11". Jonas is 6'11", 265. What do you think Nerlens Noel is?
180 soaking wet?
Close. He's 6'11". Nerlens is 6'11", 220. There's a 45-pound difference between these two young men. A 45-pound difference. And I'm just afraid that he's going to just straight up horse Nerlens Noel down there in the box. So I'm a little nervous with that. You know what I mean? And I know, Nerlens Noel can block shots. But, if he's on the floor because he just got pushed out the way, he's not blocking the shot. You know what I mean? Or if he's just, Nerlens Noel Jonas just gets him in the center of that paint, boom, I got you, bang, and go up. I don't know if there's going to be much that Nerlens Noel can do. We've seen freaking Robin Lopez post up Nerlens Noel, and Noel can't really give him any issues down there. So that's one area that I'm definitely concerned with, is how we deal with Jonas, because he's, he's good in the post. He can bring it outside, and I don't know what Nerlens is going to be able to do with him. And then, of course,
none of our centers. I don't think we haven't been able to defend that three from a big man the entire season. Al Horford killed us. Porzingis almost killed us.
That's true.
From out there. So definitely, yeah, it's been really tough the entire season.
Yeah, and then of course we got Ja Morant. We got to deal with Ja Morant. So Elfrid Payton's got to, he's going to be starting out on Ja Morant tonight, and then you'll also see some Derrick Rose on Ja Morant. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Tom Thibodeau decides to put Reggie Bullock on Ja Morant and Elfrid Payton on Grayson Allen. I don't know. We'll see what he decides to do. A lot of times we see Reggie Bullock defend Well, I don't know because Elfrid Payton he defended Kyrie, right? Obviously things get switched up when you're playing basketball and things, but I don't know. Elfrid Payton and Ja Morant. What's your take? What do you think? You think Ja Morant is going to chew him up or what?
Well, Ja Morant chews everyone up. I think Tibbs is more likely to put Reggie Bullock on Ja Morant, just because he's a little bit of a better on-ball defender than Elfrid Payton is. But I think Elfrid Payton can at least bully him just a little bit. But Ja Morant is going to be able to get. He's too explosive to the basket, and we all know he can leap out the gym. So it's going to be very tough. Our guards are definitely going to have to. This is going to be definitely a great matchup for them. Great as far as Memphis. Because Ja Morant is definitely a beast and he can definitely get his off, anytime he wants pretty much. So as long as we, try to crowd him in the paint as much as we can, force him to take those long jump shots. And that's what the defense is pretty much built to do. I think we'll have a better time against Ja Morant, but Ja Morant is always going to get his off.
Right. And not only is Ja Morant explosive, but he's also crafty, right?
Yes.
He doesn't have a lot of body where he's going to be, like we see RJ Barrett, right? RJ Barrett is also crafty, but he uses his body to figure out where your weight is and then, okay, I'm going to go this way, I'm going to go that way, or, things like that. Ja Morant is a different kind of crafty, right? He's almost like a Kyrie type of crafty. He's good with the basketball. He understands how to make you shift your body weight and then go the opposite direction. Good stop and go type of guy. Change of direction type of guy. Very crafty, very slick, plays off instincts like a Kyrie Irving. Those type of players are quick first step. Those type of players are very tough to guard. A guy that plays off of instinct, right? Because no matter what you do, his instincts are going to tell him to counter. Whatever you do defensively, his instincts are going to counter that. Very tough to play a guy to guard a guy that plays off of instincts. He averages 18 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, 7.4 assists per game. He's shooting like 25% from the three-point line. Yeah, 25.5% from the three-point line, 44.5% from the field. But he's not the kind of guy that you're going to back up off of. You're not going to do that because if you back up off of him, now he has room to see the floor. Exactly. And the type of guy he is. See, here's the difference between him and Ben Simmons. Somebody asks, well, if you back up off of Ben Simmons, doesn't it give him room to do this and that? Ben Simmons doesn't have a lot of moves, right? He's strong, he's fast, he can dribble, but he doesn't have moves. A guy like Ja Morant, if you back up off of him and give him space, now you give him space to really get into rhythm with the ball. You know what I'm saying? And that's dangerous too. So he's not the kind of guy that you're going to back up off of, because if you back up off him, like I said, he's going to get in a rhythm and pop, 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 and you're in trouble anyway. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't think we should back up off of him when he has the ball in his hand when he's on ball. Just like you were talking about with Elfrid Payton. Teams don't back off Elfrid Payton when he has the ball in his hands. Now, when it's an off the ball situation, and you got to be able to try to guard the passing lane and have that extra body to guard the passing lane. I think it's a little bit easier, but on the ball, you're not going to play off of these guys. I think that's ridiculous that's not how you play defense, in my opinion.
Right. Jason Jameson said Ja Morant. Right. Jason Jameson said Ja Morant is more explosive than crafty. I agree with you. He's very explosive, but I also think he's crafty. Right. So I'm saying both guys, both skill sets. He uses both skill sets, right? He uses the explosiveness and the craftiness, which is double trouble. Double trouble. Because he can be crafty to kind of get where he wants and maneuver, and then all of a sudden explode. How do you defend that? How do you defend that? It's hard to defend that. And Cooking with Chef Zay said, so we don't sag off shooters now. Go ahead and sag off of Ja Morant and see what happens. That's all I'm going to say to you. Go ahead and sag off of Ja Morant, right? And he's going to pick your team apart. Yeah, he shoots 25% from the three-point line. But go ahead and sag off of him. He's going to pick your team apart. And he's still going to get to the basket. It's not a smart idea to sag off of him because he is a person who gets his rhythm. If you sag off of him, you're allowing him to get rhythm. You're allowing him to get his moves there. And all he's going to do is, okay, have you ever seen Cooking with Chef Zay, a guard, have the ball, someone's up tight, and he backs up to get space? Why do you think he backs up to get space? He backs up to get space so he can get his rhythm and build up a head of speed to come at you. You see it all the time. Because guards like Ja Morant, that's what they can do. So go ahead and back up off the young man and see what happens. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, don't you remember when I put
something to that? Can I?
Yeah, just let me tell, Cooking with, when I cooked Chef Zay, don't you remember I would back up off you sometimes, make you come out a little bit, you still try to give me space, and I still went past you? That's all. Go ahead, Josh.
This is not an either or. Like, people often are taking this to the extreme. No one is saying play always up on Ja Morant and crowd him at the 3-point line. No one is saying that. We're just saying you can't just simply lay back on someone when he has the ball, particularly a guard with handle, that's explosive, that can get to the paint. You can't just lay off of him and allow him to pretty much do what he wants. We try to do the same thing with Ben Simmons, or at least I've seen a couple possessions. We do that against Ben Simmons, and his strength is going to allow him to get to the hole because he's able to be a freight train going forward, and you can't stop that. So you don't necessarily have to play off to force someone to shoot the basketball. Just play him tight. Not all over him, play him tight, and don't, stop the drive. And allow him to shoot the ball that way. But you can't just play off of someone like that. That's ridiculous.
Just think it's a mistake to play off of Ja Morant because let me say this: he might shoot 25%, but I guarantee you he has good form, and I bet you he can get hot from the 3-point line every once in a while. It may not be often, but I bet you he can get hot. And if you back off of him and just give it to him, he might get hot. We'll see what happens when we get out there. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what happens when they get out there. But that's going to be, Elfrid Payton, Derrick Rose, IQ. They got their work cut out for them tonight against those guys, against Ja Morant. Now, when you look at Kyle Anderson, Julius Randle's going to be faced off against Kyle Anderson. Julius Randle should win that matchup.
Barbecue chicken.
Should win that matchup. Now, what Julius Randle's going to have to do is guard Kyle Anderson, though. Okay, I'm not saying Kyle Anderson is a star, but, we've seen Julius Randle have some trouble with guys that can, like Kyle Anderson's size. We've seen Julius Randle allow them to shoot from the 3-point line, right? Julius Randle maybe get caught down in the lane, and when the ball gets passed to his guy, he looks like, hey, who's supposed to rotate? Or something like that. And this man is knocking down corner threes. You know what I mean? Julius Randle's going to have to be on it. We've seen it with several low-key stretch power forwards where, Julius Randle allowed that guy to kind of chew him up a little bit. Right? Kyle Anderson shoots 37% from the 3-point line. He shoots 48% from the field. He's averaging 12.6 points per game, 5.9 rebounds per game. He's not a power guy, right? But he can knock down that three if you let him at it. So Julius Randle's got to be on point with him and not play around with him tonight. We need all hands on deck. We can't play around with these guys. RJ Barrett and Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks, I think, is averaging like maybe 16 points per game this year or something like that. I thought I saw. I'm about to look it up right now. RJ Barrett's been playing good defensively.
Definitely much better than the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but there are a few times when he'll get cooked a little bit. Yeah, Dylan Brooks is averaging 16 points, 2.9 rebounds, 2.3 assists this season. It's going to be a challenge for RJ. He's a guy that can score the basketball, shooting 34% from three, shooting 41.2% from the field. We can't let this guy cut backdoor. That's the one thing with RJ Barrett that bothers me. He gets caught looking at the ball. Guy zooms right back, zooms back door on him. That happens frequently with RJ Barrett, and that kind of, I get upset with it sometimes. I'm like, come on, RJ, you can't keep letting guys, get that back door on you. He's done better, but we can't let Dylan Brooks get any backdoor dunks or anything like that. Keep that guy in front of you, Make sure you got yourself, ready to play good defense. He already shoots 41% from the field. We don't want to let him get hot. He shoots a poor percentage from the field. Make him continue to shoot a poor percentage from the field. Don't let him get hot from three, though, right? He shoots 34%. He's a guy like a Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock, shoots a poor percentage from the field, but a high percentage from three, right? Because they shoot a lot of threes. Dylan Brooks, he takes 15 attempts per game. 6 of them are from the three-point line. All right, and he's not a great shooter from the field, but he can knock it down from three. We just don't want to let him get hot. Hopefully, RJ's on point with it. And maybe, who knows? Maybe Tom Thibodeau will have RJ guarding Grayson Allen and Reggie Bullock guarding Dylan Brooks. I don't know. What do you think?
So you can always mix the lineup that way. I mean, I would rather have, Bullock guard Morant, to be honest. But I don't know. It just depends on how Thibodeau sees it. I really don't think the Knicks should do anything too crazy to change up the defensive matchups. Someone brought up in the chat earlier, maybe swapping, put Randall on Valanciunas because he's a little bit of a bigger body.
That could be.
But then you're leaving Noel against Anderson. So I guess you can, the Knicks have that little bit of that flexibility where they can be able to do that. But definitely, if I had to make one switch as far as switching guys, I would put Bullock on Ja Morant. I think he's our best defender, and he's Ja Morant is their best offensive player. So that's what I would do there.
And you know what? Grayson Allen is 6'4". Ja Morant is 6'3". So here's where we've got to figure it out. They got two guys in that 6'4" range. We got one. That's Elfrid Payton. So maybe you take Elfrid Payton and put him on Grayson Allen and then Reggie Bullock on Ja Morant. We'll see. That's going to be interesting to watch and see because maybe Thibodeau says, let's do it right off bat. Or maybe he's like, let's see what happens first and then switch Reggie Bullock onto him. But, Reggie Bullock's going to have to guard someone who's around that 6'4" height. So he might as well just go ahead and guard Ja Morant out the gate. You know what I'm saying? He's got good feet. He's quick. He can move. You don't have to worry about Ja Morant posting him up. Obviously, we're not going to worry about Reggie Bullock posting up anybody. He's not going to post up Ja Morant if Ja Morant's guarding him. We don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Those matchups will be interesting. I think I kind of agree with you, though. Go Reggie Bullock on Ja Morant, and then the other guys, whoever he decides to put on them, only makes sense. I wouldn't be afraid to put Julius Randle against Valanciunas. I just don't want Randle to get in foul trouble.
Right. That's always the concern when you put Randle at the 5, as if he's going to get in foul trouble or not. And we can't afford to lose him to foul trouble. So it's definitely a concern, but it's something to think about. But honestly, if I had to make the lineups, I would just keep Nerlens Noel and Valanciunas and just play it that way, and then make an adjustment as the game goes on.
Right, and what you might see is down the stretch of the game in the fourth quarter, you might see it a little bit different. Like against Boston, Julius Randle, he didn't really guard Jason Tatum the entire game, and then down the stretch of the game, he was guarding Jason Tatum.
Right.
So you may see something like that go on throughout the game. It's going to be interesting, man, to see how it goes down. You see it already on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. The New York Knicks average 104.9 points per game. The Memphis Grizzlies about 113 points per game. And listen, I say it every single game preview. The Knicks frequently hold teams 10 points below their average. Held true against the Boston Celtics. They just can't muster up enough points. They religiously hold teams about 10 points below their average. Right? The Celtics came into the game averaging 112. They scored 101. Right? Even when we played the Brooklyn Nets, I think the Brooklyn Nets came into the game averaging 119. We gave up 115 or something like that.
Yep.
Right? We religiously hold teams below their average. We just got to score the basketball. We'll see if we can hold Memphis Grizzlies, the Grizzlies down to about 102, 103, 104 points. And maybe we can score our average and be there. I don't know. We'll see. The Grizzlies aren't, they're not a super defensive team, so maybe we'll have an easier time scoring tonight. They're a good rebounding team, which scares me a little bit because we've been struggling so much on that end of the ball. We've been struggling rebounding. So we really got to make sure we make a concerted effort to get to the boards tonight. We got to get to the boards tonight, man. Can't mess around with these guys and play. We need our guards to help out. Our guards got to be, I think Legion of Knicks talked about it yesterday. Elfrid Payton, during this time, he's a good rebounding guard. We need him to hit those boards. We need him to help hit the boards. We need RJ Barrett to help hit the boards. Alec Burks had a few rebounds the other night. We need him to help. All hands on deck. These guys got to help out. Everybody got to pitch in, because we can't continue to get smacked on the boards. Yeah.
A lot of the close games that we lost this season have come down to rebounds, us not being able to box out. We'll have a good defensive possession, and a team just is able to grab that offensive rebound on us, and that's literally cost us the game. You look at the Miami game, you look at the Brooklyn game where Chardonnay, I forgot his name, came out of nowhere and grabbed the rebound. You look at the Boston game the other night. Offensive rebounding or defensive rebounding has literally killed us in a few games this season. And again, our record could be different because of that. So, I just think you're absolutely right. You're 100% spot on with what you said about us being able to rebound, because you don't complete a defensive possession until you get that rebound. That's I don't care how good the Knicks are playing defense. If they get that rebound, I think we can be able to, proceed forward and go the other way. But until then, I think we're gonna be in some trouble.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Still looking at the stats, a few statistics. The Memphis Grizzlies, they averaged 27 assists a game, 26.8. Might as well say 27. The Knicks averaged 21. Got to be ready defensively. The Memphis Grizzlies, they averaged 9.6 steals per game. The Knicks averaged 7. We don't want them getting out in transition, so we got to make sure we're taking care of that basketball. They average 4.4 blocks, although they don't have one dominant shot blocker. Brandon Clark, he averages 0.85 blocks per game, right? And he leads them in blocks. But they still average 4 per game, right? But I don't think they have someone who's like really protecting the rim. Hopefully we can score at the rim a little bit if we can get into the paint. We haven't done that good of a job over the past few games, though. We might get into the paint, but we missed the layups. We're obviously, we're not getting dunks at the rim from those alley-oops. Every once in a while with Nerlens Noel, but we're not getting it like obviously we would if we had Mitch. Both teams around 13 turnovers per game. The Grizzlies shoot 46.6% from the field. The Knicks shoot 45.1% from the field. They shoot 35, almost 36% from three. We shooting 38. And the Grizzlies shoot 78% from the free throw line. We're shooting 76%. They average 55 points in the paint. 55 points in the paint. We can't let them dominate the paint that way. Right? And of course, that's Valanciunas and that's Ja Morant. Right? Powering that paint play. Because Ja Morant, he's going to penetrate and get to the basket. Valanciunas is going to post you up. The Knicks, they average 44.7 points in the paint. Second chance points, Memphis, they average 15. The Knicks are averaging 12.8. Fast break points, the Knicks average 8.8, and they average 16. We can't afford to let these guys get out on a break, man. We really can't. We just can't let it happen. We've
also been giving up a lot of fast break opportunities lately as well. That's another thing that we've been giving up. It seems like, a lot of times the Knicks can miss a shot and then, they'll get that rebound and just throw a quick outlet pass and into the rim, like, in a couple seconds or so. And that's something I didn't expect from this team. Early in the season, we did a good job of kind of limiting fast break points. Teams weren't being able to run on us like that. And lately, I don't know if it's the last 10, 15 games, it just seems like we're giving it up a lot more. I don't know if it's the rebounding, maybe with Mitch being out and the guards having to crash the boards a little bit, we're giving up that, the other way. So that's something we also have to look out for as well.
Yeah. We talked about the defensive rebounding, right? And I want to bring this up with the defensive rebounding. They are, and let me get something off the screen real quick. before I bring this back. It's all right. Just have a little thing moving on in the background. So it's all good. The Memphis Grizzlies, they're number 1 in offensive rebounds this season. At this point in the season, they're number 1 in offensive rebounds. They're number 4 in rebounds altogether. Right, so we got to be on our game. We can't mess around and play around with these guys. We got to be on our game. Rebound the basketball. You know what I'm saying? Rebound, fight for rebounds. We need live bodies out there, boxing out, pursuing the basketball. Not waiting for it to come to you, but pursuing the basketball. That's what I haven't been seeing us really do with those rebounds. And when I talk about those live bodies, we're not pursuing the basketball. Other teams are really pursuing it and having a nose for it and going to get it aggressively. It's something that we're not doing. Good defensive rotations. I mentioned they average about 27 assists per game. That's 6th in the NBA. We got to be on our rotations tonight because Ja Morant can get into the paint. He can kick it out. He's going to find people. We got to be able to rotate because you're going to have to help out on Ja Morant. When he kicks it, you got to get back to your guy, close back out, or however the rotation is set. They've got to make sure that they execute those rotations the right way or we're going to get killed. All right, we can't have defensive lapses either. We got to be on the same page. We can't have some of these, all of a sudden somebody's wide open at the rim. You know what I mean? We just can't have it. So we need good defensive rotations. We got to be on point defensively, making sure that we're closing out, protecting the rim. And when we are protecting the rim and they kick it out, we got to make sure that we're getting out there to close out. Offensive continuity. I think, it's definitely been missing, especially when we play teams that have a tough defense. Memphis, the Grizzlies defense, they're not going to come in and just lock you down. But any team in the NBA can, start to play good defensively. I mean, they're rated 109.4. That's their defensive rating. So they can play. What'd you say?
They give up 111.
They give up 111, but they can play
Around
defense.
Yep.
Right. They can play defense. And right now, let's put it like this. Everybody's defense is a little bit tougher because they are fighting for playoffs positioning. So everyone's defense is a little bit tougher right now. So, they just got to be on it. They can't be playing around. They got to be on it. Ball movement, man movement. If you don't have a shot, get the ball out your hands. Let somebody else try to create something or let something happen. We'll see. The bench, we need the bench to contribute. Alec Burks, all of these guys. The bench has to contribute. If the bench doesn't contribute, we're just going to be in trouble. We haven't been getting good contributions from the bench lately. We really need to get some good contributions from these guys. I don't know. There's no one that we can just rely on, not even Derrick Rose, right? We just don't have that one player that we can say, we know that this guy is going to be there for us. You know what I'm saying? So, that we need someone. We haven't had a good bench contribution in the past couple of games. We were getting Burks. Burks was doing some things. But we haven't had some really good bench contributions in a while.
Sam, I think tonight's the night that quickly breaks out a little bit. I think quickly, he's due for a game where he's able to score and score over 20 points and knock that shot down. He loves playing at the Garden. I think that the Knicks are overall a better team at Madison Square Garden than they are on the road, if I'm not mistaken. And I think tonight's a night just for quickly to bounce back. So we'll definitely see how he comes out. But I definitely agree that we definitely need some contributions from the bench if we're going to be successful. Yeah.
And if we get a lead, we got to hold that lead, man. We got to hold that lead if we get a lead. Then, of course, fourth quarter execution. This has been, game by game, the last, 6-7 games, that fourth quarter execution just hasn't been good. We've had a lead in every single game we've played since the All-Star break, I believe. Yeah. And I'm going to say, I don't know how many games we've played since the All-Star break, but I'm going to say...
Except for Milwaukee. I don't think we had a lead against Milwaukee. They blew us out pretty bad.
Okay, the first game back. Right, that's right.
Yeah.
The first game back, we got smacked. After that, I think we had a lead in every single game that we played. The games that we lost, 2 of them, we didn't have a double-digit lead. We didn't get a double-digit lead against Miami. We didn't get a double-digit lead against Boston the last game. All the other games, we had double-digit leads against these guys. And maybe one of the Philadelphia games we didn't have a double-digit lead, but we'll see. We'll see what they do tonight, if they can correct some of these things and take care of some of these keys here. It's going to be a tough game, and I'm hoping and praying that they can do it, man, because they need to get this win tonight. Essential. This is an essential game for the Knicks tonight. Any other thoughts on this game and some things that you want to see from this team on how they approach the Memphis Grizzlies?
It's coming out with fire, early on, step on their neck. Same thing like I said against the Pistons. As long as the Knicks come out, I think they get a little bit angry every time they after a loss. They always tend to come out and be really, really aggressive, scoring the basketball in that first quarter. So I want to see the same thing tonight. The Knicks come out, on fire, being aggressive early on and being able to put some points up on the board early on. I think that'll definitely help us out and help us get to that big lead that we've been talking about. And also just closing the game out, being able to, take care of the basketball. The turnovers have killed us. Oh my goodness, the turnovers have killed us late in the game. If it's not Randall, it's definitely RJ turning the ball over, or Burks. We got to be able to take care of the basketball late in games. I think that's another thing, along with the lack of rebounding, that has killed us. So as long as we can do those things, I think we won't have a problem tonight.
Yeah. We got to do those things. That's the thing. We got to do those things. Big shout out to everybody that's here in the chat. We appreciate you all for joining us. Please subscribe to the channel. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe now, right now. And hit that like button for me. We got 63 likes in here, about close to 300 people in the chat. So, let's get them likes up to close to 300 if we can. 288 people. Let's get them likes up there. Smash them like buttons, ladies and gentlemen. We definitely appreciate it. Make sure that you put your comments in the comment section too. I know everyone's, kind of talking in the chat, but, keep the conversation going after the show and put some comments in the comment section. People are always in there talking and all that stuff, man. I don't know. The phone lines are open, ladies and gentlemen. You can call in if you want to talk. 516-405-2246. If you have some thoughts about tonight's game, give us a call. Let's talk about it. Josh, I didn't get a chance to talk to you yesterday. We did a breakdown, and I want to say NZ Richie, thank you. He said the stream is awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you for showing up. We appreciate you for being here with us. The last 20. Tonight begins the last 20 games of the season. It's that playoff push. How you feeling about these last 20? 17.
Definitely going to be tough.
17 of the 20 teams that we're playing are in playoff contention, and that includes the play-in game. 17 of the 20 teams have the potential to be in the playoffs or the play-in game. How you feel?
I mean, it's going to be tough, particularly that last West Coast stretch or whatever it is, Phoenix and both the LA teams. And that one is going to be the gauntlet that we're going to have to go through. But, depending on how those teams, and I hate to resort to this, but depending on how those teams are finishing off, and they'll probably want to rest their players before the playoffs, I think that'll give us a good chance to probably squeeze some games out of there. I think, Phoenix is still number 1 in the Western Conference, if I'm not mistaken, or they're up there.
Number 2. They're number 2.
They're number 2, yeah. So they're going to start resting guys towards the end, probably rest Chris Paul or something like that. I think the Knicks can definitely pull some games out. Listen, we've been in almost every game against every team that we're not really supposed to beat. So as long as we start cleaning up these little bit of mistakes and, teams start getting a little bit complacent, I think we can definitely squeeze some games out. I want to say 10-10 in these last 20. But I think we can go over 500 in these last 20 and finish the season with either a 500 record or 1 game above or 1 game under. I don't think it's going to be a drudging in these last 20 games. I think the Knicks are going to hold their own. And I think they can win 10 of these next 20 games. In my opinion, I really think they can.
I mean, I think they definitely are going to be in the games. Can they get over the hump? I think that's the question. And we can actually say 19 of the 20 teams that we play are in playoff contention because the New Orleans Pelicans are 2 games out of that 10th seed. They're 22 and 29. The Golden State Warriors are 24 and 27. And they're in the 10th seed in the Western Conference. The Pelicans are 2 games out of that 10th seed. So they may be battling to try to get into that 10th seed. So the only team we play that's way out of it are the Houston Rockets. Okay, the Houston Rockets, they're 14 and 37. They're the only team that we play that's just really far out of it. The Pelicans and the Toronto Raptors, both of those teams are battling to try to get into that 10th seed. They have losing records. Both of them have losing records. The Pelicans are 22 and 29. The Raptors are 20 and 32. Right? But the Raptors are just 3 games out of that 10th seed. And like I said, the Pelicans are 2 games out of that 10th seed. So
I really think the Knicks are going to be top 10 in the Eastern Conference. I don't see us falling out of the top 10. The question is whether we are going to be guaranteed a playoff spot in the 6th seed, which I don't think we are. Us not adding anybody at the trade deadline or the buyout market, I don't think we're going to be a 6th seed or higher. But I think there's no question the Knicks are going to be between 7 and 10. It's just a matter of whether they're going to get 1 playing game or get 2.
Right.
So I think that's okay. The question right now.
You know what? Here's one thing that they can do to kind of make sure of it. Obviously win games, but beat Toronto the next 2 times we play them.
Oh, yeah.
Take them out. Take Toronto out. Beat them twice. Win that season series against the Raptors. Just in case you get that, you fall down to the 10th seed and you're battling with
DC,
the Raptors.
We beat DC 3 times already, too. So that's another team that
we beat DC 3 times already. We won the season series against the Cleveland Cavaliers just in case they're in the mix because they're 19 and 32. They're 3.5 games out of that 10th seed. I don't think. Both Cleveland and Toronto have double-digit. There's a double-digit disparity between their wins and losses. So I don't see them closing either one of those 2 teams closing the gap.
Right.
I don't. The Raptors, though, they're a tough team, and you never know. All they got to do is go on a 5-game win streak, and they close that gap. You know what I mean? So you just never know. So the Knicks can do themselves a lot of favors by beating the Raptors these next 2 games and winning the season series. Put themselves in a situation where, just in case they're in that 10th seed and the Raptors are right there, and somehow the Raptors climbed back, and their records are close, the Knicks won the season series. 2 games against the Raptors in these next 20. So I think it's 2 games against the Raptors, right? Because they've only played the Raptors once. The Knicks have, and they lost to the Raptors.
Right.
Right, when they played them in Tampa.
When we couldn't make a shot.
Right. It's terrible. Their defense just clamped down on us like crazy. Right, so we played the Raptors. We actually played the Raptors Sunday. And then we play them April 24th. Both of those are home games against the Raptors, so we got to take care of business against those guys. Someone just called in and I missed them. Give me a call back, 516-405-2246. We can get you in before we head up out of here, if you want to give a call back. So I'll give you a minute or so to give a call back. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks are in the midst of a playoff push. Race to the playoffs. They're sitting in the 8th seed. They can get a win tonight. They'll still be sitting in the 8th seed, but, they can create some separation with the Pacers. The Pacers, they're 23 and 27. They're just 1 game behind us. And tonight, the Pacers play the Magic, so they'll probably get a win. So I can tell you right now, the Knicks won the season series against the Pacers, by the way.
Yep.
Right? They won the season series. But if the Pacers get a win versus the Magic, then the Knicks lose to the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, all of a sudden, both teams are just 3 games below 500. Right? And their records start to inch closer together. The Knicks should still be above them because they won the season series. The Knicks also need to beat Chicago to win that season series against Chicago. Right now, they're tied 1-1. They play them in this last 20-game stretch. They need to beat Chicago, to win that season series, because those season series, they're going to be important come down the stretch of this season. So, I don't know, Josh. We'll see what happens. It's got to start tonight.
Yep.
Starts tonight.
Take care of business at home.
That's it. Take care of business at home. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get up out of here. I do want to remind you, though, that next Friday at 5 p.m., the Queen's Court debuts 5 p.m. next Friday. So make sure that you are there. All right. The Queen Steph. You guys know Stephanie from the chat. She'll be the host of the show. It's going to be dope. All ladies. So we expect your respect. I keep telling you that. We expect your respect. There'll be all ladies on the panel. We'll be talking Knicks basketball. Okay? That's the logo, ladies and gentlemen. The Queen's Court, next Friday, 5 p.m. Make sure that you are there. Give her your support. It's going to be dope. Right here on NBK. All right? You don't have to go to any other channel. You'll get the notification from NBK. All right? Josh, any last thing you want to say before we get out of here?
Yes, I'm not going to predict the game tonight. I know the Knicks are definitely going to bounce back, and the Knicks are not tired. They just got to get it together and be able to, close out in the fourth quarter and get the rebounds. And I think we'll be successful. So I'm not going to make a prediction. Also, along with checking out Queen's Court next Friday, I'm going to have a new controversy episode up this weekend. So guys, definitely stand by and stay tuned for that. And I promise you, you are not going to like what I have to say. I promise you. I promise you. So check me out and stand by for that, guys. It's coming.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll catch you tonight after the game, about 10:15. And I do want to let you know, after the game, and you'll get the link tonight. We're going to go on the front stoop and just kind of do a little bit of a tribute to DMX. Talking about our memories of DMX and songs that we liked and talking about his albums. Maybe we'll play a couple of tracks. All right. That's on the front stoop. Tonight, when we get into the post game, I'll give you the link so that you can join us on the front stoop. We'll talk for about a half an hour, 45 minutes. Not going to be that long. I know it's going to be late, but hey, tomorrow's Saturday. You ain't got to work. Well, some of you don't. Some of you might. Anyway. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. Be easy. All right. Make sure you check out Legion and Knicks. I believe his show is going to begin at 7 p.m. So go ahead and check out Legion and Knicks tonight. He'll be following along, doing live play-by-play and stuff like that. So go check him out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm out of here. Be peaceful.